We talked about the triangle sum theorem. We talked about how if you take the sum of all three angles, it should always equal how many degrees? 180. It does not matter what type of triangle, and we talked about the different types of triangles, but the type of triangle is not a concern. What is the concern is the fact that all three angles added together will always equal 180. So when you're creating those equations, the equations in this case will always be equal to 180 for a triangle. Then we've got our angle classifications for triangles. You've got the acute triangle. All three sides have to be, or all three angles have to be acute. The right triangle has one right angle, which means the other two angles are acute. Obtuse triangle means it has one obtuse angle in it. The other two angles would be acute. Side classifications. Scalene triangles means that all the sides are different, which also means all the angles are different in measure as well. If the sides are different in measure, the angles are going to be different in measure. Isosceles triangle, at least two sides are equal, which also means at least two angles are equal. And then equilateral triangle, all the sides are equal, which means all the angles are equal, and all the angles happen to be acute. So that's what we talked about yesterday. Moving on, we're going to get into the solving process, how to solve for angles that are missing. So like I told you before, all angles added together are going to equal 180 degrees. So if we're solving for a missing angle, all we have to do is set up an equation where we take the sum of those angles and set it equal to 180. So if we have the following triangle, we'll start off real simple. Let's say that this is 42, this is 63, and this is x. 42, 63, and x. The setup is very, very easy. Again, you're just taking the sum of all three angles, combining them together, and setting it equal to 180. So I would say x plus 63 plus 42 is equal to 180. And it doesn't matter the order that I put it. It's the sum. That means addition. That means that the properties of, like, you've got commutative property. Commutative property means you can reverse the orders of your addition problems and it won't make a difference, right? 3 plus 7 is the exact same thing as 7 plus 3. So the order that you write it for addition does not matter because of that commutative property. Okay? Before we start doing any inverse operations, we should check to see if we can simplify anything. Can we simplify? Yes. What can we simplify? Brent? Thanks, Brent. 63 and 42. 63 happens to be a positive. 42 is a positive. We can combine those two positives together to get what? 105. So we get x plus 105 is now equal to 180. Now we can start doing inverse operations, which is to subtract 105 from both sides. And we'll get that x is going to be equal to 75 degrees. Knowing that x is equal to 75 degrees, what type of triangle is this going to be? What's one example or one classification? Somebody said it before. Scalene. How do we know it's scalene? Because all the angles are different. That means all the sides are going to be different. So I know it's going to be a scalene triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and write down that this is a scalene triangle. What other type of classification can I give it? It's also an acute triangle. Good, because all the angles are less than 90 degrees. So it is also acute. I want to make sure you guys understand the types of triangles that they are. All right, go ahead and flip to page 36. Flip to page 36. Who can raise their hand and tell me what would the equation look like, the setup of the equation? What would that look like? Jane. That's y. That's not the official way to set it up. It is a correct idea, only because of the fact that we do have a 90-degree angle here, but the actual correct setup would be what, Vincent? Yeah, you have to have all three angles. The sum of all three angles, 90 plus 37 plus y, is equal to 180. Okay, you want to make sure that if they were asking you, hey, what would the equation of that triangle be? You have to make sure that you're having three angles added together equaling 180. All right, now having that as a setup, let's go ahead and simplify what we can. So we can go ahead and combine the 90 and the 37 together. What's 90 and 37, guys? 127. Very good. So if 127 plus y is equal to 180, then what do? Good. Subtract the 127 from both sides, and y is going to wind up equaling what? 53. Good. So y is 53 degrees. All right. Identify the types. It's a right triangle. Very good. So we know it's a right triangle. And we did right triangle in pink, right? So I'm going to identify that it is a right triangle. And it's, Ashton, scalene, because all three angles are different. That means all three sides are going to be different as well. So it's right and it's scalene. Right and scalene. Given that triangle, what's the setup of the equation going to look like? Emiliano. Good. 4x plus 3x plus 2x is equal to 180. Let's simplify. Salomon? Okay, so if we add those together, we're going to get the 9x, and 9x is equal to 180. Then what? Brent? Good. Divide by 9 on each side, and what will x equal? 20. Okay, so now I know it's scalene because they're all different, right? Automatically know it's scalene, but I don't know what the measurement of each of the angles is. So I don't know if it's acute or if it's right or if it's obtuse. So in order to figure that out, what do you think I need to do? Julia. There you go. You have to actually substitute. You got to evaluate what it would be if you plug the 20 in. So we would have to do 20 times 4, 20 times 2, 20 times 3. So if we do 20 times 4, what is that going to give us? 80. So that's going to equal 80 degrees. If we do 2 times 20, what is that going to equal? 40. And then if we do 3 times 20, we're going to get 60. So then now what type of triangle is that? Acute. So automatically, he already knows it's obtuse. All right, and it's hard to see a little bit, but here we've got 6x plus 27, we've got 2x minus 12, and we've got 3x. Salomon? Good. Set it up as 3x plus 6x plus 27 plus 2x minus the 12 equals 180. Okay, so from here, we need to start combining those like terms. So that might be a little bit more than what we've done before, but it's still the same idea. Like terms would be variables. Variables are like terms to each other as long as it's the exact same variable to the same degree. And constants are also going to be like variables, or like terms. Sorry, not like variables, like terms, because they're just plain numbers. Okay, let's focus on the variable combination. What's the variable combination going to equate to? Emiliano? 11x. Don't forget the x. Okay, so we're going to take that 3x. We're going to add it with the 6x. We're going to add it with a 2x. So 3x plus 6x plus 2x is going to equate to 11x. Now let's focus on the constants. What is that going to come out to? If we combine our constants together, 15. Okay, if we combine that positive 27 and that minus 12, that negative 12, so 27 minus 12 gives us a positive 15. It is a positive 15, and then that would be equal to 180. From there, we can go ahead and start solving. So what do we do first? Omar? Huh? You want me to zoom in? Well, not negative 15, but minus 15. It's an operation, right? We're going to subtract 15 from both sides. That's going to give us 11x is now equal to 165. Then what? Divide by 11 on both sides, and what do we get? 15. So x is going to be equal to 15. Now, once again, in order for us to be able to figure out what each angle is, we got to substitute it in, even though I'm sure you guys can tell a little bit by the picture. But sometimes guys don't always go by a picture, because sometimes what might look like a right angle isn't necessarily a right angle. Okay, it might be 89 degrees. It might be 91 degrees. You don't want to always trust just what it looks like. You actually want to trust the actual values, the numbers. So always substitute in to see. So let's start with something easy. Let's do the 3 times x. So 3 times 15, and that's going to equal what? 45. All right. Then we'll go over to this one. We've got 2 times the 15 minus 12, which is going to equal what? 18. Good. And then our last one, we've got 6 times 15, and then we're going to add 27. That's going to give us what? 117. Good. And then if you double check it, 117 plus 45 plus 18 will equal 180. Okay. So now based off of that, what type of triangles are we talking about? Scalene and obtuse. So we've got scalene. And we've got obtuse. Are there any questions, guys? All right. Well, that's it for the notes today.